Superstore.
We want to end abortion, but not this way. This isn't the right way to do it.
A new bill at the State House seeks to criminalize abortion, despite Ohioans voting to protect the procedure in the state constitution. Why the proposal is dividing pro-life groups. Surviving Ohio State is bringing the Strauss sex abuse scandal to a national spotlight, but the men he preyed on are still fighting for justice. I talked with survivors about their reaction to the documentary and their pending cases against Ohio State. A Brazilian asylum seeker is now behind bars after being detained by immigration authorities at the Franklin County Courthouse.
He hasn't committed any crimes.
Our community is very afraid. People are afraid to leave their houses.
We're digging deeper into how this happened and speaking with the wife about what it means for their family.
The longest-running political show in Central Ohio starts now. This is NBC4's The Spectrum with Colleen Marshall.
Surviving Ohio State is difficult to watch, so imagine what it was like to live it. Welcome to The Spectrum. I'm Colleen Marshall, and that is what I heard this week from one of the survivors of Dr. Richard Strauss, the University Athletic Department doctor who sexually assaulted male students for 20 years. The documentary that tells their story went to #1 on HBO within 2 days after its debut. Also this week, the Title IX claims of 231 of those Strauss survivors was in federal court here in Columbus for a status conference. I talked to some of the survivors about reaction to the documentary and their pending court case.
Colleen, it's been a lot of positive feedback. I'm overwhelmed with the amount of people that have reached out, and I haven't gotten one negative comment.
I'm hearing a lot of people surprised at what we've already known. I get a lot of support, a lot of positive reactions personally.
I've had several of my coaching friends in my community down in Florida reach out and said some really nice things, some kind words.
Kind words, a sharp contrast to the earliest days of our reports on the sex abuse scandal at The Ohio State University, when Mike Schick and Dan Ritchie appeared before the board of directors to detail years of sexual assaults disguised as medical examinations. The victims were shamed, disbelieved, accused of trying to grab for money. But as their stories rolled out, there was a recognition that just like the Michigan State gymnasts who were assaulted by Dr. Larry Nassar, young, scholarship-dependent teenage men can also be vulnerable to sex abuse by an authority figure, like a team doctor.
There was isolation in a sense. I mean, you heard stories and there was joking and everything else, but you didn't know to what extent everybody else was going through things. And there was no safe harbor.
Al Nowakowski is featured in the documentary. He was a promising hockey player who dropped out of Ohio State after being repeatedly molested and finally drugged and raped by Dr. Strauss. You know, when you left Ohio State, you left with this massive secret, and now it is exposed in a way you probably never could have imagined. What's this been like?
Surreal, actually. Being at home and sort of watching everything on TV and reading about it. Then you go down here and you meet all the guys, and we meet you, and it happened, it's real, and now it's starting. Like a lot of people think, now it's over. It's not over now, it's just starting.
The case is at a definite transition point in federal court. The reason so many of the survivors showed up for what was otherwise a routine status conference. It was clear the district court judge, Michael Watson, wants a mediated settlement. The attorney for Ohio State did not want to answer my questions, but told the court he believes the settlement amounts proposed by the survivors are prohibitively high. Attorneys for the victims say OSU is unrealistically low.
Well, what I just told the court and remains true is that OSU put a nominal damages amount after they had won on the statute of limitations. We convinced the Sixth Circuit to overturn that. The court found our clients' claims are timely, and they have not come back to the settlement table. We hope that with the court's appointment of a mediator, which the court said he's going to do this month, OSU will treat these clients and these men with the respect that they deserve.
The court also ruled this week that because of a recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling, damages in a Title IX case must be treated like damages in a contract dispute. That means victims cannot be compensated for emotional damages. Victims' attorney Scott Smith is not worried. Tell me about the damages that you believe your client suffered.
Well, first of all, we have the physical injuries from the assault. That's number one, and that's a large damage. Number two, we have discrimination. That's what happened when you violate Title IX. They're discriminating against the students. That is a bucket of damages that is substantial as well.
Whatever happens in court, whether or not they are ever heard by a jury, the survivors are already sharing their story with a national audience. What do you hope happens next?
I mean, I hope people find out this story. I think that OSU's done a very good job in making people think that it's all settled, and it's not.
I'd like to see everybody take their voice, email the trustees at, I believe it's trustees@osu.edu. Tell them your thoughts. Let them know that this is not okay.
Had they handled their business like they're supposed to back then and take care of, you know, the student athletes and students there, we wouldn't be here.
Ohio pro-life groups are at odds over a